She leaned toward me, veil brushing the wireless mic. "Don't embarrass us," she whispered. I checked the mixer, armed the recorder, and walked away. If I wasn't welcome as family, I'd show up as contract and tape, calm, dated, and undeniable. Before watching the video, please tell us in the comments from where you are watching this video. Heat lifted off the courtyard stones like a quiet warning. The venue sat behind the old courthouse, brick walls holding cool shade. I rolled in 2 flight cases and a coiled snake of cables. My name is Mark, and sound pays my mortgage. Today I was vendor and father, which means I chose vendor first. Vendor rules keep rooms steady when feelings start boiling over. I parked the van, logged arrival time, and snapped gear photos. The ballroom smelled like lemons, fabric steam, and low anxiety. I walked it twice, counting outlets, echoes, and places where voices disappear. Miguel, the DJ, arrived with crates and an honest handshake. "Houseboard is Beringer," he said, pointing toward the rack. "We'll take your clean feed," I answered, keeping tone steady and friendly. Priya, the manager, checked our insurance certificates without small talk. Timeline posted at the service door. She said, practical and calm. Deirdre inspected place cards like she ran a newsroom under deadline. "Please keep equipment hidden," she said, smiling without warmth. "We'll hide the speakers behind greenery," I said, matching her civility. Savannah entered with her stylist, all angles and phone light checks. Caleb followed, smile careful, shoulders tight under responsibility. I set the mixer, taped labels, and ran the wireless check. "Lav 1, Savannah. Lav 2, Caleb. Handheld for officiant," I said. Miguel tested the dance playlist and kept volumes modest and clean. Priya passed by, watching levels like a pilot scans instruments. "No fog machine," she added, half joking, mostly serious. I grinned and lifted empty hands to show compliance. Deirdre rechecked her list and circled toasts 3 times. "Short and cheerful," she said, tapping the paper like a gavel. I nodded and kept my face neutral, because neutrality protects flow better than charm. Rehearsal ran hot and orderly, which is my favorite mix. I taped gaffer marks where feet should stop for microphones. The officiant practiced 2 lines, then asked for the handheld height. "Chest level, 4 inches away," I said, demonstrating for the record. Savannah's friends posed near the arch, then drifted to shade. Caleb found me by the board and exhaled like he'd been racing. "Thanks for doing this," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "You hired me fair and square," I answered, giving him the vendor script. He smiled weakly, understanding why scripts exist when families blur. I built a chain of custody sheet for audio files and keys. "Sign in, sign out. No exceptions," I told Miguel and Priya. We tested this recorder redundancy, because single points of failure ruin vows. "Main to SD card, back up to USB, rolling from processional," I said. Miguel nodded and tapped the meters like a surgeon checking pulse. Priya initialed the schedule and asked about wireless interference. "Channel scan clean," I answered. "No hotels nearby, brick helps." I coiled spare XLR cables and labeled them for emergency swaps. Everything had a place, including me, which mattered more than pride. The sun dropped behind the courthouse dome, pulling color from the lawn. Servers carried glassware that chimed like distant, tidy bells. Caleb returned, jacket off, tie loosened, eyes clearer this time. "You okay being both roles today?" he asked, voice careful. "I'm here to make sound and protect quiet," I said. "That's enough." He nodded, then looked toward the bridal suite with a private worry. "If anything feels wrong, you call me, not her," he said. "Copy," I answered, because short words hold better when stress rises. We bumped shoulders lightly, then got back to our different jobs. The ceremony morning came sharp and heavy with humidity. The hotel ballroom smelled of perfume and ironed fabric. I arrived with my gear 2 hours early and checked signal paths. Savannah's mother hovered by the floral arch, adjusting things that didn't need adjusting. Caleb greeted me with a quick handshake. "All good?" he asked. "Clean signal, no feedback," I said. "Everything's locked and backed up." He nodded, looking like someone trying to stand in 2 weather systems at once. Priya signed off the timeline, and Miguel started warming up the Prelude playlist. I attached the wireless lav mic to Savannah's dress during photos, explaining the process. "The pack sits at your waist," I said. "Tiny clip at the neckline. It won't show." She nodded distractedly, scrolling through messages on her phone. "We'll start the recording 5 minutes before the ceremony," I added. "It's standard." She smiled politely without meeting my eyes. "Just make sure everything sounds perfect," she said. "We don't want anyone cringing." "Perfection costs extra," I replied lightly. She didn't laugh. By 1 o'clock, guests filled half the chairs. Deirdre moved like an air traffic controller between photographers and florists. The planner whispered countdowns into her headset. Caleb stood at the front, straight posture, palms pressed together. The air carried that wedding silence that feels too polished to be real. I checked my levels one last time, leaned toward the soundboard, and caught movement near the bridal corridor. Savannah approached, veil pinned, bouquet in hand, face composed. "Ready?" I asked. "Almost," she said. Then she leaned close enough for the mic to catch breath. "Don't embarrass us," she whispered. Her voice wasn't angry. It was managerial. I blinked once, replaying the words in my head to be sure I'd heard right. Us. Not me, not Caleb. Us. I looked at her briefly and said nothing. She turned away, whispering to the maid of honor about her train. The planner gave me a thumbs up for the cue. I adjusted the mixer fader, making sure channel 1, her mic, was armed. Every word she spoke from now until the recessional would land on a separate card labeled S. Cole, Maine. Priya passed by and asked, "We rolling soon?" "In 2 minutes," I said. Full redundancy. "You always do that?" she asked. "When people get nervous," I answered. She smiled faintly, maybe understanding more than she said. Guests settled, the officiant walked forward, and Miguel faded in soft piano. Caleb looked down the aisle for her, expression open, patient, and real. Savannah appeared framed in sunlight, walking with her father like it was a campaign commercial. I watched the meters, not the aisle. The sound never lies. Halfway through the vows, Deirdre whispered directions to the photographer mid-ceremony. "Step left, get her smile," she hissed. Savannah's mic caught it. I let the levels run steady, no clipping, no interruptions. When Caleb said "I do," his voice was clear, warm, and certain. When Savannah said it, her tone cracked faintly before she recovered. The crowd didn't notice. I did. The officiant closed the script, pronouncing them married. Applause scattered like coins on marble. I saved the recording with a soft click and labeled it Ceremony Master. At the reception, Savannah avoided me. Deirdre thanked vendors by title, not name. "Excellent coordination," she said to no one in particular. I rolled cable, logged equipment, and stayed invisible. Caleb stopped me near the bar. "Thanks, Dad," he said quietly. Everything sounded perfect. "Good," I said. "Let's keep it that way." "She's nervous," he added, apologetic. "You know how image stuff gets." "Nervous I can handle," I said. "Disrespect costs extra." He half smiled, unsure if it was safe to agree. "We'll talk later?" he asked. "We will," I said, and walked toward the control booth. Behind the curtain, Miguel leaned close. "You okay?" he asked. "She said something before the walk," I replied. I got it on mic. He frowned. "Accidental pickup?" "Deliberate enough," I said, "but clean." He didn't ask what I'd do with it. "You want a duplicate file?" he asked. "Please," I said. He slid a USB across the table. "Standard backup, same naming." I pocketed it, zipped the pouch, and took one last look at the floor. The crowd laughed at some joke I couldn't hear. From where I stood, the sound was still perfect, but the tone was gone. That night, when the last chair was folded and the DJ faded out, I unplugged channel 1 last. Savannah's laugh still carried the static of her breath, the faint tremor in her speech, and that single sentence sitting clear between, "Don't embarrass us." She had no idea how that sounded on playback, how small it was, how sharp. I labeled the folder and copied it to 2 drives. Tomorrow would bring polite messages about delivery timelines and edited highlight reels. I already knew what I'd send and what I'd keep. The morning after the wedding, the house smelled like coffee and cables. I laid everything on the kitchen table. Mixers, cards, hard drives, contracts. Then opened my laptop and labeled folders. I've handled hundreds of weddings. Some end messy, most fade quietly into edited highlight reels. But this one had a sentence that didn't belong. Before I touched a file, I pulled out the vendor contract Savannah's family had signed. Paragraph 12, right under Conduct and Cooperation, stated, "Disparaging behavior toward staff or contractors may result in suspended service and release of full, unedited recordings." Signed by Deirdre Cole, witnessed by Priya Patel. The clause wasn't a threat. It was insurance. I built it after a musician once blamed me for feedback that came from their own cheap mic. People misbehave when stakes feel high, and weddings are pressure cookers wrapped in lace. The mic on Savannah's dress had picked up everything. Her whisper, her tone, and the sound of me doing my job quietly. I opened the audio folder labeled Ceremony Master and watched the waveform scroll by. Channel 1 pulsed in steady green. When I isolated it, her words came out crisp, unmistakable. "Don't embarrass us." I leaned back and let the sound play twice. It wasn't rage or mockery. It was control, the kind of control that mistakes image for respect. I scrolled further and heard Deirdre's coaching lines during vows, whispering directions like a stage manager. The rest was clean. No hum, no distortion, no reason for anyone to blame me later. I copied the files to 2 encrypted drives, one for my archive, one for legal safekeeping. Then I created a delivery set, labeled Client Processed, which excluded the rehearsal and raw dialogue pickup. They'd receive perfect vows and perfect applause. I'd keep the rest. Miguel called mid-morning. "You reviewing already?" he asked. "Always do," I said. "Everything synced?" "Perfect. Your backup drive's clean. I made a duplicate for safety," he said. "Appreciate it," I replied. "And that whisper?" he asked. "Logged," I said. "Not shared." Miguel whistled softly. "Guess you'll decide how to use it." "Use isn't the word," I said. "Documentation is." "Fair," he said. "You always were the quiet kind of revenge." I smiled faintly. "Quiet wins in playback," I said. At noon, Priya called from the venue. "Morning after audit," she said briskly. "Any damage or incidents?" "None," I said, "except for one interpersonal note." "Between guests or clients?" she asked. "Between client and vendor," I said. "Recorded." She paused, reading. "So fit between words." "Conduct clause?" she asked. "Verified?" I answered. "Copy stored?" "2," I said. "Good," she replied. "Keep it archived. You know how perception fights facts." "I always prefer waveform," I said. She laughed softly. "Waveform doesn't lie. People do." By evening, the usual thank you emails began trickling in, one from Deirdre's assistant. "The bride and groom request audio delivery by Thursday for highlight edit. Please ensure all chatter is trimmed for optics." That word, optics, was their favorite. I replied with a short professional message. "Delivery will include all contracted material, unedited ceremony recording available upon request." It was neutral, not confrontational. Within 10 minutes, Deirdre herself called. "Mark," she said, voice smooth as marble, "we're so grateful everything went flawlessly." "Glad to hear it," I said. Sound held steady. "We'd appreciate one small edit," she added. "Remove any ambient chatter before the walk. You know, pre-processional." "That's included in your delivery cut," I said. "But per contract, full unedited audio remains on file." Silence followed, brief, pointed, controlled. "Of course," she said finally. "Standard procedure, I'm sure." After the call, I printed the delivery confirmation sheet and attached the conduct clause for my records. Revenge wasn't the plan. Consistency was. I wasn't going to post, threaten, or humiliate anyone. I'd let their own words stay in a folder named by date and fact. If trouble came later, if someone accused me of mishandling audio or being unprofessional, I'd have proof, time-stamped and clear. People fear documentation more than confrontation. That night, Caleb stopped by, hands in his pockets, face tired but lighter. "They're already rewriting history," he said quietly. "About what?" I asked. "Apparently Mom said you interfered during vows," he said. "Something about adjusting volume mid-line." "Playback disagrees," I said. "Would you like to hear it?" He hesitated. "Not yet," he said. "But keep it. You might need it." "Already done," I said. "Multiple backups." "Good," he said. "You don't deserve the circus." "None of us do," I answered. "You just married the ringmaster's daughter." He almost smiled. "You always did like a clean exit," he said. "Clean's underrated," I replied. After he left, I opened a new file on my desktop. Event report. Cole Hensley 0909. I typed each step in neutral language. Arrival, testing, conduct clause, incident timestamp, client confirmation. No adjectives, no drama, just record keeping. At the end, I wrote one personal note for my eyes only. If people teach you how to handle them, believe the lesson. Then I hit save. The file glowed green in the archive folder, same as the waveform. Tomorrow I'd prepare the delivery drive, finalize receipts, and wait, because revenge works best when it looks like routine. I spent the next morning tightening paperwork. In my line of work, every screw, cable, and clause needs torque. The Cole wedding folder sat open on my desk beside a cup of coffee gone lukewarm. I checked the service agreement line by line, making sure each initial and date was present. Everything was signed, witnessed, and cross-referenced with email threads. A good contract is a boundary that doesn't shout. It just sits still until someone leans too hard on it. The conduct and cooperation clause read exactly as intended. Unprofessional behavior toward staff or contractors may result in immediate suspension of service and release of all raw documentation as is, without liability to provider. I had borrowed that wording from an insurance lawyer years ago after a politician's gala went sideways. Most clients never noticed it. The smart ones respected it. I printed a clean copy and filed it in a folder marked Active, Hold. At 10, Priya called. Morning, Mark. Just confirming receipts from Deirdre's assistant. Confirmed, I said. They signed the digital acceptance. Good, she replied. Also, just between us, there's chatter. The Coles are pushing a narrative. Something about you refusing last-minute adjustments. Convenient, I said. Did they mention why? They said you were temperamental, she answered. I told them you're contractual. Appreciated, I said. Contractual beats emotional every time. Agreed, she said. Need me to log anything? Just timestamp the call, I replied. Facts stay cleaner with ink. After we hung up, I emailed Miguel a simple line. Keep your copy safe. No edits. He replied, always. File labeled Cole Raw Lock. I trusted him. He'd seen worse families than this. He once said that weddings were live theater where no one rehearses humility. I believed him. By noon, Deirdre called again, tone polished. Mark, small issue, she said. The venue's asking for an incident report. Standard procedure, I replied. Priya logs every event. Of course, she said, hesitating. We'd just prefer not to create unnecessary records. Transparency helps everyone, I said. That's why it's in the contract. You're really leaning on that document, she said, half joking. It's what you paid for, I answered. She laughed faintly, realizing charm wouldn't work here. You're a difficult man to manage, she said. Good, I said. Management isn't in your package? Later, Caleb called, voice tight. Mom said you threatened them with recordings. Not threatened, I said. Reminded. Can I ask what you plan to do? Nothing, I said. The clause handles itself. You're not going to, expose them, right? He asked carefully. Not unless they rewrite history loud enough, I said. I prefer silence. You always did, he murmured. Thanks for not making it worse. I make things clearer, I said. Not worse, he sighed. You sure you're okay? I'm fine, I said. It's them who forgot microphones don't take sides. That evening, Priya emailed a formal note. Venue file updated. Client narrative inconsistent with staff observations. Recommend retention of full logs per policy. I printed it and slipped it behind the contract. Beneath it, I added a handwritten label. If they push, play 10 seconds. Around 7, Miguel dropped by with a flash drive and a grin. Final backups, he said. You're cleaner than a courthouse. Good, I said. How's the gossip? They're saying you walked out mid-reception, he said. Didn't happen, I replied. But if it did, the exit would have been quieter than the bride's whisper. He laughed. You planning to use that audio? Only if truth needs subtitles, I said. When he left, I poured a drink and opened the folder again. I placed the signed contract on top, the conduct clause visible under the firm letterhead. Beneath it lay the unedited audio drive, small, black, and undeniable. I slid both into the safe under a sealed envelope labeled Cole Wedding Protected. That's all revenge really is at my age. Paperwork arranged neatly, waiting to do its own talking. Before turning in, I wrote one note in my ledger. No shouting, no threats, no leaks, just documentation. The truth doesn't rush, it waits. Then I closed the drawer. Contracts don't argue, they simply open when needed. The email came early Thursday morning, bold and short. We need to discuss edits immediately. Signed, Deirdre Cole. I'd seen that tone before, the one that sounds polite until you say no. I opened my calendar, checked the delivery clause, 3 business days for review, and smiled faintly. Day 3 started today. I wrote back, all contracted deliverables ready for pickup by 2 p.m. Please confirm receipt upon delivery. No promises, no arguments, just schedule. By noon, the van was packed, speakers wrapped, cables coiled, hard drives labeled. Priya met me at the venue to sign the service release. You sure you want a handoff here? She asked, lowering her voice. It's neutral ground, I said. No homes, no emotion. She nodded, understanding. Miguel arrived 10 minutes later, carrying his laptop and 2 copies of the final playlist. We're covered on all sides, he said. Audio, video, invoices, signatures. I handed him the secondary drive. Keep this one sealed, I said, in case their PR spin grows legs. Got it, he said, pocketing it carefully. At 1:50, Deirdre and Savannah walked in like clients, returning an item they'd already worn. Deirdre smiled with rehearsed grace. We just wanted to go over minor adjustments, she said. You'll find everything in your contract folder, I replied evenly. Final files, invoices, and receipts. Nothing withheld. Savannah folded her arms. The officiant sounded flat in the recording, she said. That's the natural tone of a cardioid microphone, I answered. Neutral capture. Deirdre tilted her head. Can you boost her energy a little? I don't edit personalities, I said. Only frequencies. Savannah's eyes flashed, then cooled. We just don't want anything awkward, she said. That's why you hired a professional, I said. Your event was documented accurately. She hesitated, searching for a softer line. You're taking this very literally. That's how contracts work, I said. Priya watched quietly, arms folded, her expression unreadable. Ladies, she said finally, Mark's paperwork is precise. If you'd like revisions, we can open a new service order. We shouldn't have to pay twice, Deirdre said. Then use what you have, I said. It's complete. For a few seconds, the air went still. Then Savannah whispered, not realizing the irony. You don't have to be difficult. I looked at her, calm as a level beam. You hired me because I don't bend under noise. Noise? She repeated. That's offensive. It's technical, I said. Means interference that distorts the signal. Miguel coughed lightly to hide a smile. Priya slid a clipboard across the table. If you're satisfied with final delivery, sign here, she said. Deirdre signed quickly, eager to end the tension. Savannah scribbled her name beside it, gripped tight on the pen. Perfect, Priya said. We're done. I gathered the copies and slipped them into the release envelope. Thank you for your business, I said, tone neutral as paper. We wish you the best. Deirdre started to say something, then thought better of it. Savannah exhaled, relief mixed with unfinished words. I lifted the folder from the table and locked it in my case. You're just walking out? She asked. Work's complete, I said. When everything's signed, walking out is the professional move. She looked ready to argue, but Priya stepped in. It's standard, she said. Clean exit, no loose ends. I turned to Miguel. Signal chain off? Fully powered down, he said. Logs saved. I nodded once and extended a hand toward Priya. Appreciate your fairness, I said. It's rare. She smiled slightly. Fairness keeps doors open. And microphones honest, I said. Exactly, she replied. Deirdre and Savannah gathered their purses and left without goodbye. Miguel watched them cross the parking lot. You really are the king of quiet exit, he said. Quiet exits keep the roof up, I answered. Loud ones bring rain. Back at the van, I placed the signed documents into a clear plastic sleeve marked Final. Cole event closed. I double-checked the digital logs, updated timestamps, and uploaded the files to my off-site server. Everything was clean, every box checked. By the time I pulled onto Main Street, my phone buzzed with a voicemail. It was Deirdre, voice sugar-wrapped but sharp. Mark, I hope we can talk about tone. I'm hearing from people that you left early. That doesn't reflect well on anyone. I replayed it once, saved it, and forwarded it to my archive email. No need to call back. The contract had already spoken louder than I ever could. Revenge didn't look like shouting. It looked like perfect documentation. Every signature, every timestamp, every byte pointed the same direction. Truth without commentary. By the time I reached home, I'd already written the subject line of my final email. Cole Wedding. Completion notice. Inside it, I attached everything. Delivery confirmation, signed releases, duplicate backups, and a single closing line. Per Section 14, this event is concluded. Thank you for your business. Then I hit send and shut the laptop. I poured a glass of water, looked out the window, and felt the silence settle. The room didn't need words. Clean endings make their own sound. A quiet click, like a lock engaging exactly the way it should. The first call came 2 days later, a Saturday morning when I was rewiring a church podium. My phone vibrated across the pew, and the screen showed Caleb's name. Dad, he said quickly. They're saying the audio files are corrupted. I paused, wiping dust off my hands. They're not, I said. Every file verified twice. I know, he said. But Mom's been calling reporters she knows from the local magazine. Says your temper ruined the ceremony recording. Then she'll learn how backups work, I said. Tell her to check her email. I drove home, logged in, and opened the delivery receipt. Both Savannah and Deirdre had downloaded the files 36 hours earlier. The system timestamped each one automatically. I took a screenshot and saved it to the archive. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Unknown number, speaker crackling. Mr. Hensley, a voice said. This is Hannah Reed from the County Herald. I've heard there was an issue with the Cole wedding involving your company. No issue, I said. Everything completed under contract. The bride's family claims you left abruptly, creating technical problems. We completed all services, signed off, and delivered product, I said. You're welcome to request the paperwork. She hesitated. You're comfortable with me printing your response? Print the contract too, I said. Transparency photographs well. Within an hour, Deirdre called, voice sharp through speaker. Did you just tell a reporter to print our contract? You told her first, I said. I just gave her context. You can't share private business documents, she snapped. They're not private, I said. They're legal proof, signed by you. Silence followed, the kind that means someone's realizing the limits of control. You're enjoying this, she said finally. I enjoy accurate records, I replied. By noon, the family group chat lit up. Caleb, Savannah, her parents, and me. Savannah's message read, Mark, we're asking nicely. Please don't involve media. I typed back. I haven't. Media called me. I confirmed facts. Deirdre replied instantly. You're vindictive. I answered. I'm thorough. Caleb messaged privately after. I'm sorry, Dad. This is spiraling. She's embarrassed. Then fix it quietly, I wrote. I'm not escalating. Can I come by tonight? He asked. Dinner at 6, I replied. At 6 sharp, he showed up in jeans and a tired look. Mom says Savannah's losing it, he said. She's terrified you'll leak the whisper. I won't, I said. Unless they call me a liar in print. He sat down heavily. She already regrets saying it, he murmured. Then she can apologize to the right people. You really recorded everything? Everything the mic heard, I said. That's its job. He rubbed his face. You're not going to ruin their marriage, are you? Not my goal, I said. I'm protecting yours. He looked up, puzzled. Mine? You married into a family that measures love by optics, I said. You'll need proof of reality sooner or later. He sighed. You think she'll come around? Maybe, I said, after she realizes contracts don't bend for feelings. The next morning, Priya called. You've made the paper, she said flatly. Front page of the lifestyle section. Headline says, Bride faces audio mishap, blames vendor. Let me guess, I said. Quotes but no data? Exactly, she said. They even use the phrase technical failure. Then it's time for an invoice, I said. For what? She asked. Section 12, paragraph 4, I said. Defamation response fee. She laughed quietly. You really wrote that in? Of course, I said. Protects against PR storms. You're the only person I know who invoices revenge, she said. Makes it taxable, I replied. Keeps it honest. I drafted an email with attachments, signed receipts, delivery logs, and screenshots of the download timestamps. The subject line read, Request for retraction, misrepresentation of completed work. I copied Hannah from the County Herald and CC'd Deirdre. The body was short. Statement of fact. Audio services completed per contract, verified and accepted by clients. Attached are signatures, timestamps, and technical verification. Failure to correct misrepresentation within 48 hours will activate Clause 12, paragraph 4. Then I clicked send. 3 hours later, Hannah called again. Mr. Hensley, I've reviewed the documents, she said. They're airtight. I'll run a correction tomorrow. Thank you, I said. No opinions, just accuracy. Off the record, she said. You handled that calmly. Calm scales better, I said. That night, Caleb texted, Mom's furious. Savannah's crying. They saw the correction. I typed back, good. Truth printed smaller than gossip still lasts longer. He didn't reply, but I saw the read receipt flash. I sat back in my chair and let the quiet stretch. I didn't need to say another word. The contracts, the backups, the silence, they were already working. The following morning, Deirdre called again, tone slower now. You won, Mark, she said. Happy? No, I said, but I'm finished. You could have just talked to us. You could have just told the truth, I replied. We all made choices, she sighed. What do you want? Nothing, I said. Just peace. You think this will give it to you? Eventually, I said. Noise burns out. Paper doesn't. When I hung up, I labeled her voicemail and archived it. Revenge wasn't shouting into phones. It was ending the call first. Caleb came by again on a quiet Tuesday evening. Shoulders slumped, but posture determined. He stood in the doorway for a few seconds before speaking. Mom says you embarrassed the family, he said finally. She's demanding you issue a statement clarifying that there was never any recording. I motioned for him to come inside. There was a recording, I said. There's always a recording. It's my job. He rubbed his face. I know, Dad, but she's panicking. She thinks you'll leak it. I won't, I said calmly. But I also won't erase it. It's my protection. He nodded, staring at the floor. Savannah's scared too. She thinks this will destroy her online image. Then she should stop polishing it, I said. Reality's easier to maintain. He sat at the table, watching me clean a microphone with alcohol wipes. I didn't realize how bad this could get, he said quietly. You married into a marketing team, I said. They don't lose sleep. They lose narratives. He half smiled, but the weariness in his face didn't lift. She's not evil, he said. She's just wired to manage things. I believe that, I said. But managing people crosses into manipulation fast. I'm not giving her that power over me, or you. He hesitated. She's talking about an annulment, he said. Mom's encouraging it. Says it's a clean restart. I put the wipe down and looked at him. Do you want that? He shook his head quickly. No, we had one bad week. I still love her. Then protect what's real, not what's curated, I said. Step back from her, Mother. They thrive on reaction. Deny them oxygen. He leaned back in his chair. That easy? No, I said. But simple and easy aren't twins. He exhaled. If this goes public, she'll blame me. Then I'll take the weight, I said. I'm already the villain in their narrative. That's not fair, he said. Fair isn't the metric. Truth is, I said. He looked at me for a long moment. What if I ask you to delete the audio? Then you'd be asking me to cut my own parachute, I said. You know I can't. You'd rather risk them hating you? I'd rather you have proof when the story bends again, I said. Later that week, I met Priya at the cafe across from the courthouse. She slid a manila envelope across the table. Venue audits complete, she said. We logged inconsistencies in the Coles version of events. I included a summary for your records. I nodded. Appreciate it. They'll calm down, she said. Eventually, optics get bored. I'm not betting on boredom, I said. I'm betting on structure. She smiled slightly. You always do. When I got home, I called Caleb. Listen, I said. You and Savannah should take a week offline. Let this cool naturally. We can't, he said. Her mom's planning a family dinner. Damage control. Then skip it, I said. It's not an option. Everything's an option, I said. You just don't like the price. You think I'm weak? He asked. No, I said. I think you're cornered. Weakness is giving the corner a name. 2 days later, he called again. Dinner's tonight, he said. They want you there. Why? Mom says to clear the air. Savannah thinks it'll help. I laughed softly. Air doesn't clear in rooms full of perfume. So you won't come? Not unless there's a lawyer present. Dad. No, Caleb, I said. They don't want peace. They want surrender. You think I shouldn't go? I think you should record it, I said. For clarity. Silence filled the line. I'm serious, I added. They don't respect words until they hear them later. That night, I waited. Around 10, my phone buzzed. It was a voice memo. Caleb had recorded the dinner. I hit play and listened. Deirdre's voice came first, sharp and precise. You've embarrassed us publicly. Do you realize what that article did? Savannah's tone followed, thinner. Mom, stop, it's already bad enough. Then Caleb, he didn't talk to the press, you did. Chairs scraped. Someone exhaled loudly. We could fix this if he'd just delete the files, Deirdre said. Caleb replied, steady. They're not his only copies. Silence. The recording ended. I smiled faintly. My son was learning the language of boundaries. I texted him one line. Keep the original. Let them fear their own words for once. He replied, I think she finally gets it. Good, I wrote back. Now make her earn trust the same way I do, with recordings and consistency. Protecting him didn't mean sheltering him. It meant teaching him that calm evidence outlasts chaos every time. Caleb called a week later, his voice quieter but more grounded. We're redoing the vows, he said. Small ceremony. Just us, no press, no planners. Good choice, I said. Where? Courthouse Garden, he replied. Priya helped us get a slot. You want me there? I asked. Yes, he said. As witness, not as sound tech. Then I'll bring no cables, I said. Just a pen. The garden behind the courthouse was small. 2 benches, a hedge, and a white trellis someone had painted years ago. A breeze moved the flags, soft and constant. Savannah stood waiting. Simple dress, no veil, no entourage. Caleb wore the same suit but no tie. When I walked up, they both smiled, tentative but real. Thanks for coming, he said. Wouldn't miss it, I said. The officiant, a middle-aged clerk named Whitmore, opened his folder. We'll keep this brief, he said. You two understand the process? They both nodded. He cleared his throat and began the words every marriage hears. But this time there was no music, no crowd, no performance, just a clean space and honest air. Savannah looked at Caleb as if remembering the first time, before lists, before headlines. I do, she said softly, and the sentence sounded human again. Caleb answered the same way, steady, unguarded. When Whitmore handed them the pen, they signed carefully, almost ceremonially. I signed next, under witness, and felt something close quietly inside me. Afterward, we walked toward the benches, and Savannah turned to me. Mr. Hensley, she said, voice even. I owe you an apology. I waited. I said something cruel that day, she continued. I was nervous and trying to control everything. It wasn't fair to you or Caleb. Accepted, I said simply. Control ruins audio. Always does. She smiled faintly. I believe that now. Good, I said. Belief's cheaper than lawsuits. Caleb laughed softly, the first genuine laugh I'd heard in weeks. We sat on the bench under the hedge. We're starting over, Caleb said. No big announcements, no photo shoots. Start small, I said. Small holds longer. Savannah nodded. We're deleting our wedding accounts, she said, and moving out of her mother's circle for a while. That's not easy, I said. No, she said, but we're tired of living like a campaign. I looked at them both and nodded. Then maybe this time it'll be about marriage, not marketing. The courthouse staff brought out 2 paper cups of cider, apparently a tradition for weekday weddings. Whitmore toasted quietly. to simple promises. Caleb raised his cup. To better audio, he said, grinning. Savannah laughed and bumped her cup against his. The sound was small, clear, and perfect. After they left for lunch, I lingered for a few minutes, staring at the trellis. The air carried that balanced silence I recognized from good recordings. Steady, neutral, real. I pulled my phone from my pocket and hit record, letting 30 seconds of clean, natural sound capture the garden. No voices, no corrections, no spin, just proof that peace has its own frequency. On the drive home, I thought about what revenge really meant. People imagine explosion. They forget the power of endurance. Revenge can be as quiet as a stable signal, the simple decision to let evidence outlast gossip. The mic had caught the whisper, but it had also caught everything that came after. Vows, apologies, and stillness. That evening, Caleb texted me a photo. It wasn't staged. Just the two of them under the courthouse flag, smiling, eyes tired but calm. No press, no filters, he wrote. Just us, I replied. Now that's audio worth keeping. 3 weeks later, the Coles asked for a meeting of closure. The email came through their lawyer, polite but firm. It read, "Our clients wish to resolve any misunderstandings surrounding the wedding event recordings and maintain mutual respect between families." I recognized the subtext. They wanted control back. I replied with 3 words, "Bring your counsel." We met in a rented conference room at the Civic Center. Long table, neutral walls, filtered water bottles lined evenly in front of each chair. Caleb and Savannah arrived first, sitting together. She looked different. Simpler dress, no practiced smile. "I asked them to come," she said quietly, "to end it." "Good," I said. "Endings should be documented too." Deirdre and her attorney walked in next, all crisp edges and controlled posture. "Mr. Hensley," she began, "we appreciate your time." "Time's measurable," I said. "Respect isn't. Let's make sure we cover both." The lawyer cleared his throat. "Our clients are requesting confirmation that no private or embarrassing recordings exist or will be released." I opened my folder and placed a single USB drive on the table. "This is the ceremony master," I said. "The only relevant audio file under contract." Deirdre's eyes narrowed. "So there are others?" "There are backups," I said. "And internal logs, standard for professionals. We'd like assurance they'll remain private." "You already have it," I said. "Section 12, line 4. Records are confidential unless misrepresentation occurs." The lawyer shifted, scanning his copy of the contract. "He's correct," he said softly. "The clause protects both sides." Savannah leaned forward. "Can I hear it?" she asked. "You can," I said. "But I recommend we all do. Transparency works best in groups." Connected my laptop to the portable speaker, clicked the file, and adjusted the gain. The room filled with ambient reverb from the ceremony. Music, guests, footsteps, and then her voice, clear as daylight. "Don't embarrass us." The sound cut clean. No edits, no noise. Savannah covered her mouth, eyes wet but steady. Deirdre froze, realizing denial wasn't an option. "That was private," she whispered. "That was recorded," I said. "And the microphone doesn't recognize hierarchy." The lawyer stopped taking notes, hands folded on the table. "Mr. Hensley," he said, "your client compliance is evident. I see no grounds for further concern." "Thank you," I said. "That's all I wanted recorded today." Savannah looked at me. "I really am sorry," she said quietly. "I know," I said. "Apologies are cleaner when microphones don't need to capture them." Deirdre's expression softened slightly, pride cracking under the weight of evidence. "We all said things we regret," she said. "But the press shouldn't have been involved." "Agreed," I said. "That's why I asked for this meeting, to close the loop properly." I slid a printed document across the table. "Mutual non-defamation agreement. Sign this," I said. "We all stopped talking about the wedding publicly, and I archived the files permanently." The lawyer read it carefully, then nodded. "This is balanced," he said. Deirdre hesitated, but Savannah reached for the pen first. "I want peace," she said. Caleb signed next, then me. Deirdre followed last, slow but deliberate. The lawyer added his witness signature and gathered the copies. "All executed," he said. I unplugged the speaker and returned the drive to his case. "You'll get a copy of the agreement by morning," I said. "This matter's done." Deirdre looked up. "You really won't ever release that audio?" "No need," I said. "It already did its job." She frowned. "Which is?" "Truth," I said. "It calibrated everyone in the room." After they left, Caleb stayed behind. "You handled that like a judge," he said. "No," I said. "Just like someone who's been misjudged enough times." Savannah approached, still holding her signed copy. "You can delete the backups if you want," she said. "I believe you now." "They'll stay," I said. "Not to hurt you, just to remind us all how fast respect can slip." She nodded. "Fair." Outside, the parking lot glowed with late afternoon light. Caleb and Savannah walked ahead, hand in hand, small and quiet. Deirdre spoke to her lawyer near the car, voice lower now, humbled. I stood there for a moment, letting the quiet take hold. The file on the drive would stay sealed, time-stamped, unedited, proof that calm justice doesn't need an audience. When I got home, I labeled the folder Cole Hensley Resolution and moved it to long-term storage. The screen flashed, Archive, complete. I shut the laptop and turned off the lights. Some endings don't echo. They land softly and stay put. A month passed quietly after the agreement. I didn't hear from the Coles, and that silence was the first real sign of peace. Caleb and Savannah moved into a smaller townhouse across town. No planners, no posts, no optics. He called once a week, just to talk about ordinary things. Mortgage rates, the broken garage door, what brand of coffee maker lasts longest. Each time his voice carried something new, steadiness. One afternoon, he dropped by unannounced. "We planted tomatoes," he said proudly. "Savannah wants to grow herbs too." "Good choice," I said. "Plants don't judge, but they remember neglect." He smiled. "She's been quiet lately. No posts, no family updates." "Quiet's a muscle," I said. "Keep exercising it." He nodded. "Mom's not thrilled," he added, "but she stopped calling as much." "That's progress," I said. Control hates distance. Later that week, I met Priya for coffee. She'd been promoted to regional manager. "You made headlines without saying a word," she said, half smiling. The Coles withdrew their complaints from every vendor board. "Paperwork does the heavy lifting," I said. "People chase emotion, but ink wins courtrooms." She raised her cup. "To ink, then. And patience," I added. "It lasts longer." At home, I cleaned out old project folders, moving the Cole wedding archive to deep storage. The drive slid into its slot with a satisfying click. It joined decades of other evidence, proof that professionalism is the quietest kind of armor. Every label was a lesson. Don't rush. Document first. Let them speak. My office smelled faintly of metal and time. That evening, Caleb called again. "Dad, we're having dinner Sunday," he said. "Just the four of us. Savannah, me, her mom, her dad." I paused. "You sure?" "Yeah," he said. "She wants closure, not conflict." "Then host it on your terms," I said. "Neutral ground. No recordings, but no pretending either." "Got it," he said. "And Dad, she told me something today. She said, your father was right about noise." I chuckled softly. "Then maybe there's hope." Sunday evening, after their dinner, he texted me a photo. A table set simply. 4 plates, no centerpiece, no theatric. "No fights," he wrote. "Just food." I stared at it for a long time, feeling something shift inside me. A weight loosening, not disappearing, just adjusting. Revenge had finished its work quietly. What remained was balance. I walked outside and listened to the neighborhood at dusk. Sprinklers hissed, a dog barked, someone's radio played low jazz. No applause, no headlines, just life going on. I thought about that first whisper. Don't embarrass us. Maybe she finally understood that dignity doesn't come from staging. It comes from repair. The next morning, I opened my calendar and deleted the reminder tagged Cole follow-up. The slot turned blank, and the screen glowed softly in the dim room. For the first time in months, there were no pending files, no open disputes, no noise waiting to be managed, just space. Before shutting down for the night, I added one final note to my ledger. Silence is not surrender. It's control, measured and permanent. Then I turned off the light. If you found this story meaningful, don't forget to like the video and tell me what you think in the comments. And of course, subscribe for more stories like this one.